Now we will learn about how to edit a video. There are several reasons why you will need to edit a video. For example, there can be some mistakes made while you are making the original video. They might be some factual mistakes, or they can be some other mistakes like having long pauses or some ineligible words or things like that. These things can happen when you are recording. There can be other problems as well. For example, there can be some background noises. You might hear some other vehicle passing by, or a person might cross across the camera. So there can always be some problems. By editing, you can remove them. In addition, you can make a video look more appealing and beautiful by doing the edition. You can make some color corrections. You can also do some volume adjustments and things like that. In other cases, you have more than one video. So you need to embed them to create one long video. Or there can be some extra other multimedia files such as images or some background music or things like that. So you want to connect them all to create one large video. So all these things lead us into editing videos. So today we will try to do the very basics of video editing. Now it's a very large subject, so there are a lot of things you can learn, but I will try to touch upon only the very basic things, the most required things to get started with doing an educational video. There are many video editing softwares known as video editors. uh, some of them are commercial, some of them are free. The one we are going to use is known as the OpenShot. Now the OpenShot video editor is free and open source. So that's one reason I have chosen this software. So everyone can download it and install it. The other thing is it's a basic editing software. That means it will not confuse you because it has only very limited number of features. But it has almost all the features that are required. There are some other softwares that can do a lot. However, they are very complex and very hard to use. You have a very tight learning curve. But the OpenShot software is very easy to learn because you have only very limited number of features and very simple menus, things like that. So the first step would be to download the OpenShot software. Now the URL is given in the website, given in this slide. So download that software and install the software. Now let's start with a very basic one. We'll start by opening the OpenShot software. So this is what the interface looks like. In this interface, you can see there is a menu. So this is the main menu. In this menu, you will be able to open file, close file, export files, create new projects and things like that. And you have a help file and things like that. Other than that, you will see four main regions. Here you will have the properties window. Now the properties windows will display properties of clips or music files or things like that. So you can adjust certain properties from this properties window. Then you have this project files window. So whenever you use a file, first you have to import them into the project file window. So all the imported clips, video clips, sound clips or images will be displayed here. In this region, the large black region is the video preview. So in the video preview, you will be able to see how your clip looks like when you play it. So you have the play button, pause button, and you also have rewind, fast forward, and options like that. You can also use the keyboard to control the play. Just underneath the project files, you have two more tabs, transitions and effects. We will learn about them later. Here you have another tool set of icons, which are the basic tools like the eraser tool, the markers, slices, and things like that. And this section together is known as the timeline. So in the timeline or the storyboard, you have several tracks. By default, you have 5 tracks, but usually you can get away with only 1 or 2 tracks if it's a very simple project. So whenever you use a video clip, you will have to drag that clip into this timeline and you can see the preview. You can zoom the timeline up or zoom in or zoom out using this zoom button. So those are the basic things in the interface window. So now let's see what we can do as the starting point. We already know about the main window and things like that. So the next basic thing is how to import a video into the project and how to start editing it. Now before going to that, let me show you the clips I have already recorded. You can get an idea how we can improve the given clips. Now here you will have a set of videos and another image. So if I play the first video, let me play the first and second. So this is actually a recording of a Sterling engine. So you can see at the first few seconds there's nothing happening. Only after that the rotation table starts. So now you can see it's a rotation and you can see this particular instrument from different angles. However, you can see the total time is about 1 minute and 23 seconds. So it rotates several times. So what I basically like is to have only single rotation. So a person can view it from all the directions. So I need to remove this first part of the clip which had a still image and maybe some portion at the end because I only need a single rotation. So that's the first clip. Now let's look at the second clip. Now second clip is how the Stirling engine works. It's a demonstration. So for those who don't know about the Stirling engine, it's a very high efficient thermal engine. So here I am using the hot water to start a Stirling engine. So the first part of the camera just show pouring of the hot water into this dish and putting in the Stirling engine onto the dish. And you can see there are several obstacles coming here and there. You can see there's a hand coming and the pouring water is again there. So I don't like to have them in my final clip. I'd rather like have this particular motion to show them how it works. So again in this clip, I would have to remove the first part. And later on the clip, you can see it's rotating, it's working, and you can see it from different angles. So that's my second clip. So you can see there are many things I need to edit. Mostly I need to remove certain parts from the clips. Then I need to connect those clips together to have a single video clip. And you may have heard there's a very large background noise. So it might be preferred to remove the background noise and have maybe a music or something like that. There's another component uh, that I want to add. It is this image file because this is a structure of the Sterling engine. So having it in the side can help the viewer so he can understand what are the different things and how it functions. So I like to have this in the part of my video as well. So it's an external component. Finally, I would also like to add the title telling what's the component, what this Sterling engine is, and maybe at the end add some clips, add some text to thank all the friends that helped me make this clip. So those are the main things I wish to do in the OpenShot video editor, mainly to crop or remove certain parts of the videos, trim the video, append them together, and have overlap of this image on the video, and add the title and the things like that. Right, now let's get started. The first step is we already have the OpenShot video open, OpenShot video editor open. I want to add these files into the project file because these are the ones that I will be using. So I select them and I drag them all to the OpenShot project file. Now you can see all the three files are there. Let's start with the first clip. So this is the first clip. So we'll drag and drop into the timeline. Now you can see there are 5 tracks in this timeline. So I usually like to add it to the top one, but there's a small issue with the OpenShot software. I told you it has certain limitations. It has only very certain features are missing. So one feature that is missing is rearranging the tracks. So you can't drag and drop one track below the other one. Later on, you will learn that have the order is very important. So usually for the open shot, I will start somewhere in the middle. So let me drag and drop this into the track number 4. As soon as I did that, you can see several things are happening. First, the property window got populated. Now it is showing different things like the alpha channel. That means how the transparency, the scale, the default volume, size, duration, and all these things are there. If you want to have a very quick preview about the video clip, you can right click and select file properties, and it will give you the resolution, frame rate, and things like that. So this is a 640 by 480 video. So now the timeline is populated with a single clip. If I click the play button, you can see the preview, and you can see the head is also moving. Now the video is playing. You can pause them, or using the arrow keys you can move one frame at a time like that, and you can do a lot of things. The first thing I want to do is to split the video, right? So split means you are not cropping, you are splitting the video into several smaller clips. So if you have a 10-minute clip, you may be clipping it to 2-minute sections, or one is 2 minutes, another one is 6 minutes, other one is again 2 minutes, like that. So you can split them at any point. So the idea is when you split those things, you can independently treat those smaller clips. So if you want, you can remove part of that smaller clip, or if you want, you can adjust the volume of that particular clip only. So rather than affecting the whole larger clip, you can have a smaller clips and edit them separately. So here, now let me show you how the splitting is done. First you go to the timeline, and by moving the head, you determine where you want to have the split. Now in this one, I wish to remove the first part of the clip because it's still. So let me just move it here and there, and I think somewhere like this is better. So I go there, and now I click on this razor tool icon. Once you click it, you can see it is selected, and now whenever I move my mouse pointer across the track, it has changed the shape. So now it's showing a line and a knife-like icon. So I go to the point where I want to have the split, click it, and now you can see the single clip has divided into two separate clips, and I think a single round is fine. So after this point, again I like to remove the last portion, so I click it here, something like this is fine. Click it here. Now there are 3 clips instead of the original one. There's the first part, and there's a middle part, and finally there's the last component. Now I don't want the first component, I want to delete this one. So I again select the eraser tool, so it gets unselected. Right click on this one, select remove clip. I will do the same with the last one. Remove the clip. So now I have only this smaller clip. If I try to play this one, you will notice at the beginning there's a blank. The reason is my clip is at somewhere in this point. It's not starting at the beginning. So I can move it to the beginning using the mouse. Now when I start the video, I start it from here. Now you have seen how you can split a video clip and delete or remove parts of the clip. Now I want to do the same with the second clip, right? So this is my second clip. Again I will drag and drop it here. If I come here and do the play, You can see up to a certain point, just the preview. But if I go to somewhere like this, okay, here is a place where I like to have a split. So I go back, click the eraser tool, move it like this. Okay, now it's split into two sections, two smaller clips. And maybe up to this point I like to have it, so I will split the clip here, unselect the eraser tool, delete this clip and delete this clip. Now I have two separate clips, but there's a large gap. I don't want to have that, I want to merge it. I just move it close to them and it will automatically snap together. To have the automatic snapping, you have to make this snapping enabled. Now if I play, you can see there's a single continuous video happening. Okay, we are at the end of the first clip, and it's suddenly moving to the second one where you can see the workings of the Stirling engine. Okay, so far you have learned how to import clips into the OpenShot, how to drag and drop them into the tracks, how to split them, and how to delete and merge parts of the clips. But you can see there's a very sharp transition between the first clip and the second clip, right? So it looks a little bit odd and a little bit hard for the eye. It's like a very sharp cut. To remove it, we can use different effects. So we'll first look at the transition effect. So that will help you smooth the transitioning from one video clip to another. Okay. To do that, we will move to the transition tab here. You will notice there's a transition tab. So when you click it, you get different transition types. Now I like to have the fade transition because that seems a little bit nice for this clip. Or you can have the same thing by clicking here, saying at the end of the clip fade. But I like to use the transition tab, so I will just put it here and remove it. Now you can see I put an overlapping transition effect on the track 4. If I play it, you will notice the video clip is still playing, and at this point there's a change of the uh, color, or actually change of the contrast. You can see it started black and it gradually start back to the original color. But what I want is the opposite. I want to have this original clip and gradually fade it back to the black, not the other way around. So I can click on this one and say reverse transition. So now what's going to happen is when I play this one, that's the clip, and now it's gradually fades into the black. But the second clip is again starting very sharply, so that's not good. So we'll put the transition effect to the second clip as well. So let me remove this head and put it here. Now when we play it, you can see the first clip is gradually fading and then the second clip is appearing from that blackness. So now that looks much more smooth and nice. But remember, when you apply transition like this, a part of the video might get black or not easy to see. So if when you're copying, you may want to have some extra gap to apply the transition. Of course, you can change the speed of the transition to make it very fast. So that's again a possible option. So now if we go back to our PowerPoint, so these are the basics of the transition, and we had applied this particular transition. We had used transition to gradually face the first clip and make the second clip appear gradually. Now let's try to add an overlapping video or image. If you remember, in our original source file there were two video clips and one single image. Now I like to have that image overlap in the working video, so a person can watch the video at the same time we can see the image. So let's go back to the OpenShot software. Here I have the image file. So if I drag it directly onto one of these tracks after this one, what's going to happen is it will just become a static image appearing after the video is finished. So that's not what I want. I like to have my image appearing somewhere up here. So if you look carefully, there are different tracks. So tracks are like different layers. The tracks at the top are in front of the other tracks. So if I put an image like this for this particular track, and when you move it like this, you can see after this point there are two things: my original image file and the video clip. However, the image file is at the top, at the track above the video clip track. This image file is at track 5 and the video file is at track 4. So image file will be overlapping the video clip. So the video clip is actually playing, but it's behind or it's covered by this particular image file. So what I like to have is make it a little bit small so I can see both the image and the video clip. Now there's a way to do it, that's to do the transformation. Now there's one important thing you have to know. So if you are doing a transformation or a resizing or a change of volume or any kind of change, if you don't do it at the first frame, you will be making a keyframe, right? So if you want to have an effect that goes throughout the video clip, you should do it at the first frame. If you make a change somewhere in the middle of the clip like this, what you will have is you will have the original size at the beginning, and at this point you will make a it will gradually change to your change at this point. So you will have kind of like an animation. So I don't want to have an animation. I want to make sure this image is small throughout my video. So I will go to the very first clip of this very first frame of this clip. I am using the keyboard to move to the first frame. Okay, now if I move a little bit further down, okay, so this is the first frame. Now I click this arrow, select transform, then you can see there are blue circles appearing at the center and at the border. If I want to move the clip, I can click and drag the central circle. If I want to resize it, I can click and drag one of these blue dots at the border. If I want to keep the original scale, that means to keep the original height to width ratio, I have to press the control button while I am doing the resizing. And if you look at The properties window here, you will notice now the scale X and scale Y are changing. Originally it was at 1. If they have changed to a green color icon or a green color text, that means you had created a keyframe. So that's like creating an animation. But now you don't see any green color one, so I am effectively changing the size of the whole clip. So let me move it to the side. I think it's still a little bit large. So let me make it a little bit smaller. Okay, that's better. Now when I play this video, you can see the small animation, and after that the image here will appear. Of course you can add sort of like fade transitions and things like that to make it a bit smaller and make it a little bit smooth and nice. That's up to you. That's how you create an overlapping video or an image. Don't worry about the earlier blue dots, because it's simply acts as a placeholder. So when you click on somewhere else, they will go away. Okay, now let's move to the next topic of our video editing. That is how to crop a video or an image. So there are different ways you can do a cropping. This is again a place where the OpenShot is not that good. There are many other software that can do it easily. However, you can do a cropping in the OpenShot as well. To do that, you will have to go to the transitions, sorry, effects, and there is a effect called crop. So you can drag and drop it into whatever the image, and you can have a crop. Or the other method is you can change the scale and right click on this one to select crop. So that's another option to crop. For this one, I don't need any cropping, so I'll leave it as it is. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. That is how to add titles, credits, and text and things like that. To do that, you have a different menu in the OpenShot. So here you will see there's something called title. You can have animated titles and things like that, but for that you will need to install Blender. That's another important software if you are into 3D rendering or things like that. But for the time being, we will go with the static one. So once you click this one, you can see there are different uh, icon themes. Now different styles. So I think this one is better. So let me type it as Sterling. Engine. Click save. Now in the project file, you can see there's another file that's appearing. That's an image file with the title. Now I can move all these clips a little bit to the side and add this at the top. So you can see the word Sterling engine is appearing. Or if you want, you can have the title overlapping as well. So like this, you have the word Sterling engine demonstration, then you have the fading, and the second one appears, and then you can see the small image appearing, things like that. We'll have another copyright or some other thing as well. So again, we'll go to title, and we can have copyright. Say I don't want this line. Okay, save it, and we'll put it at the end. So if you want to have fading effects, that's again possible. You can say fade at the end of the clip, fade out fast. So when you go to the end, it will fade out. So you can do something similar for these ones as well. Start of the clip, fade in fast, and at the end of the clip, fade out fast. You can see it's appearing and then gradually disappearing, and something like this. So with that, you have a lot of how you know how to add text and things like that. Certain softwares you can arbitrarily add text anywhere just by clicking on it, but in the OpenShot you have to use the title. But again, you can move the titles here and there using the transform tool. So if you want to label something, again that's possible. Select a suitable title and use the transform tool to move it to somewhere that looks good in your clip. Now let's go back to our presentation. Next is about the changing volume and changing other properties. Now throughout most of the work had been done using the taskbar, but there is there you can see there are certain aspects in the properties channels as well. Now if I want to change the volume of a clip, again you have to go to the starting point of the clip, otherwise you will have a keyframe and you will only have an effect. So if I want to change the volume of this particular clip, I will go to the very first frame of the clip, and in the taskbar you will have something called volume. Now 1 means 100%, so it will be the same as the original recording. If I put something like 0.5, that's 50%, so the volume will be half. If you want, you can increase the volume more than 100%. If you put something like 2, that means 200%. The sound level will be twice as the original one. Unfortunately, I think I selected not the first frame but something after that. That's why you get this blue color in the text in the background. So that's a keyframe. That means at this point you have 0.5, but after that you have a different volume. So let me remove this one like this. And then 0.5. Okay, now we have changed the volume. Now remember, if you have a different clip like this one, it will have the original volume for that clip. So if you want to change the volume of the whole different clips, you have to do it for the other clips as well. For this one, you have 0.5, but for this one, you still have 1. So if you want to change the volume of this one, you have to go to the first frame and change it to 0.5. Okay, with that we comes to the last section of our presentation, but that is the most important one. So far we had been editing our software. So we had made certain changes to make it look beautiful and enhanced and remove the problems and things like that. But all those changes are still stored in our software file, right? And time to time you should save your project as well. To save it as a project, you need to go there and say File, Save Project, and make sure you frequently save your project. because if your computer crash or something happens, you will lose all your changes, right? But this project file is not viewable in a video player because it's in the OpenShot format. To export it as a video, you have to do a certain steps, right? You have to do something called rendering, where you have to make all these changes and create a one single video file. Now to do that, you have to go to the file menu, export project, and export video. So when you click on that, you will have a file name. What do you want to call your video file? Say my video. And where do you want to save it? You can browse it and give a location. Copy it so we can view it later. And what kind of format or profile you want to use, because you have different kind of video sources. You can have a DVD, you can have a YouTube video, things like that. So you have to select what type of thing you want to use. Now since our original intention is to do some educational videos to be distributed among students, most likely we will be using YouTube or something similar. So we will select web. Then you have to select your target. So you can have YouTube and YouTube HD. Now remember, is uh, YouTube HD will have a higher resolution, so your file size will be large, and it will take a little bit longer to compile your whole project. We have recorded our original file not in HD. So if you look at our original source file, something like this, so it's only 640 by 480. So it's not in HD. So we don't want to compile it as HD. So let me select web, YouTube, and when you are doing it, make sure you select a correct resolution. For example, in certain things, let's say like Flickr, you can see the resolution is 180 HD and 25 frames per second. But if you select something like YouTube, you can see the format and things change. So make sure you use the correct size. Otherwise your video will look a little bit stretched, or you might have some black strips appearing on the sides of the video. And the quality you can choose, I will go with the medium quality. Finally you click the export video button. Now you can see the video is compiling. So depending on your settings, it might take longer, or it might take less time than the one that's been taken here. Okay, the compiling is completed. Now let's look at the final output of our edited video. So let me minimize it and let's play. You can see now the title is appearing, and the video clip starts at a very good point, not somewhere in the middle of the video. So you can see the rotation on the rotating table. Next the fading will start, and the second we will transit into the second clip. Now the little image on the side had appeared, and finally we will have the copyright notice. Okay, it is not perfect, but I think you have agreed that within the given small time period, you have learned how to create something that is quite useful. If you work with it for a certain amount of time, you can probably make even a better video. So I hope you will continue learning things like that and help with your teaching experience.